Greetings, Warrior fans. Welcome to another edition of the Warrior Weekly Show. I'm Sports Information Director Mike Stetson. I want to thank you for joining us. This week on the show, we're talking baseball with Joey Ponder, who had a NSAA Player of the Week worthy effort on the diamond, helping the Warriors win 5 of 6 and sweep a conference series at Viterbo. Then we're going to talk golf with head golf coach Mark Clouse. The golfers started their spring season and they're into a mad dash towards the championships the third weekend of April up in Albert Lea. He's going to talk about the team, how they're doing so far this spring, and about the upcoming championships. I want to thank you for joining us, and now it's time for the Warrior Weekly Show. This week on the show, we're joined by baseball player Joey Ponder. Just a fantastic week last week in 6 games, hitting just about 600. Not too bad, you know. Just about the toughest out on the ball field last week. That was pretty nice. And then the whole team was doing it too. Offensively, you guys were just cruising. 5 out of 6 wins. First off, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be here.
Let's talk about last week. You guys had some home games, you had some close games, and then bang, you go out on the road and just get it rolling. Absolutely phenomenal. What was it that clicked last week for you guys?
Well, I think after the home series, we got together as a team and decided that we weren't going the way that we wanted to, and it was time to make a change. And we took that into the weekday series, and then followed it up with the weekend series.
Talk about your game personally. I think it was, I want to say 571 for the week, bunch of RBIs, bunch of runs scored. What was going right for you in terms of offense?
I mean, honestly, I just was seeing the ball really well, and some weekends you just get that, and things click, and it's nothing changed as far as working towards it, doing the same things over and over, same things that coaches have been preaching, and finally just all came together.
And defensively, you guys were pretty solid. Has that been tough? I know with all the snow, you guys don't get a lot of time to practice on an actual field. How difficult has it been to keep that focus defensively and keep the focus on what the game plan is?
Well, I mean, it's always been a huge aspect of this team. Pitching and defense wins baseball games, and we've said that from the beginning. And obviously baseball's a warm weather kind of sport, and we haven't really gotten that yet. So it's been a little more challenging, but I think we've just kind of said, hey, let's do it and get it done, and that's the way we've gone about it. It's helped out a lot.
Well, we mentioned your offense, but the whole team's offense has really been clicking late. What is it that's been going right? I know that kind of hitting is contagious thing. A lot of guys will say that, but it seems like it's contagious for everybody in every game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had a bunch of guys swinging really good. A guy comes to mind, Mitch Karen, had another phenomenal weekend. And, like you said, it is pretty contagious. And, guys have just been getting work in. And I think, finally we're starting to get on the same page as before, where we'd have, a couple guys on, a couple guys off. And now we're all starting to get together and using the whole field instead of just pull. And, it's worked out really well in our favor.
You guys, you head up to Viterbo. They're 4-0 in conference. You guys haven't had a conference win yet. You're playing home games technically, but you're on their field. I mean, everything's kind of stacked against you. How was it to get those first couple wins and then the sweep? How good did that feel?
Oh, I mean, it was awesome. And honestly, this team, we're pretty used to playing on the road by now. So really going into somewhere isn't anything different for us. I think playing at home was a shock, to be honest with you. And so it was just another game, and we took it one inning, one pitch at a time, and just rolled off that the entire weekend. And before we knew it, there was 4. It was awesome. It was a great feeling. Just a lot of stress off the back.
How much does that set up the rest of the season for you guys? I mean, you're right in the middle of the race now at 4-4 with a heck of a lot of games left to go.
Yeah, we're excited honestly because we've turned that page and we're starting to move towards where we need to go, and I think we're feeling pretty confident. Obviously we got another tough couple games this week, and hopefully we can go in there and handle our business and take care, get some W's.
Up in North Dakota playing Dickinson State. I think one of the things that I noticed looking at the scores from the weekend was the resiliency of the team. We've seen you guys make some comebacks, but you guys had the lead, they came back, and then you finished them off. How nice was that there was no quit in the team and there was no panic either, that you guys were able to get those wins when you needed them?
Well, honestly, that's kind of been our story all year long. I think, out of most of our games, they've been 1 and 2 runs. I know we have 9 1-run losses, so there's definitely no quit in this team at all. And it doesn't matter if we're down 10 or up 10. We just keep going, keep plugging along, and it's honestly a really cool thing to see because you don't get that in a lot of teams. And even those games that we do go down where we have the lead, we find a way to come back and take care of business.
At a former school that I worked with, it was kind of the ugly joke on the team. For like 2.5 years, they didn't have a walk-off win. How nice was it to get that walk-off win this weekend and get that momentum going?
Oh, it was great to be on the other side of it finally. We hadn't done it since the first weekend, and even though it was on their field, it was a pretty great feeling. Especially after the end of that game. It was real nice to get that.
You guys got some momentum going. You roll into the heart of the conference season. How far can this team go now that the ship seems to be headed in the right direction?
Honestly, and we talked about this at the beginning of the year, there's no reason that we can't go all the way this year. We have the talent, we have the guys to do it, we got the coaching staff. It's just a matter of if we can put it all together, and from what it seems like, we're starting to get there. We still got a long ways to go, but hopefully we can, make a run at this thing. I think we have the guys to do it.
I appreciate you joining us this week. Off to Dickinson State this week, and then back home, Jamestown coming to town on the 14th, if the weather holds out. And right now there's, 4 inches of snow on the field, so we'll see what happens. But good luck this weekend, and hopefully we'll see you guys back out on the diamond here in Forest City in another week in a big long win streak when you roll back into town.
I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you out there.
Thanks a lot, Joey. Welcome back, fans. And now we're joined by head men's and women's golf coach, Mark Clouse. Season underway for the spring. Of course, the golf teams play year-round, so there's a little bit of break for the Christmas holiday and for the snow, but basically always fine-tuning the game. And you guys got a chance to get back out on course. First off, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the start of the spring. About a week and a half ago, you guys were at the Graceland tournament. How did the team look coming out of the long winter break and knocking the rust off?
Yeah, we had a great winter practice schedule. A lot of work with strength and conditioning, getting our bodies fit for tournament golf, and but also a lot of indoor practice, getting ready for the season, trying to simulate what we're going to do on the golf course. And so going into the spring season in your first event, my biggest concern is more the mental game. How are we going to hold up mentally when we get into a 4, 5, sometimes 6-hour round when we're playing competitively? And they held up pretty well. The conditions were not fantastic. It was quite windy both days, and that's a mental challenge in itself. So we, right out of the gate, we were faced with a little adversity, I would think, in that regard. But they held up quite well. So definitely on the women's side, we had 3 of our players on the all-tournament team. So for the first tournament out, that's a big plus. The men's side, Joe Nordquist was our low scorer. Played consistent golf over 2 rounds, and he's been doing some pretty good work in the off season, and he's pretty pleased, I think, to see how he held up in those adverse conditions.
I know 2 strokes off the title on the women's side and hard charging on the second day. It had to be fun watching the scores go up there because you had to, well, as the coach, I know you're watching the scores. You probably had it already figured before they went up there. But for everybody else, it had to be fun watching and seeing and, we almost got this.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because that's exactly how it happens. You're up there scoreboard watching, and the last score that went up on the board put us into second place instead of first. So it was actually that long that we had to wait. And when you talk about 2 strokes over 2 days, everybody can find a couple of shots that they could have saved over those 2 days. So bittersweet, I guess, in that regard. But we played well, and I think we'll use that as momentum going into the next one.
I would imagine, yeah, that sets the bar high and that keeps them hungry knowing, we were that close and now we got to get out there and grind a little bit more.
This team, I think, has gotten used to finishing close to the top, if not winning tournaments, and so I think their expectations are to do that. So it's no surprise that they are performing well. But we'd like to get a first place trophy instead of a second place.
Let's talk a little bit about the ladies team. Obviously, if people who have followed the team are going to notice, if they look at the scores from that first tournament, there's one notable name missing. Let's talk about the fact that one person's missing and how the team shakes out after that.
Yeah, Maria Valdez, senior this year, she was able to graduate in December. She had enough credits to graduate. She's going to grad school, and so from a golf standpoint, not good for us, but from a personal standpoint, excellent for her. She's going off, like I said, to grad school and continuing on with her studies. Did excellent undergrad-wise, and so we wish her well. But definitely from a golf score standpoint, if she's with us, we win quite easily with that event. She placed in the top 10 of nearly every event that she participated in during her collegiate career. So definitely missed on that regard. More missed, I think, from a personal standpoint. A great girl, and the team definitely misses her. So we have to learn to live without Maria.
Obviously, the rest of the ladies, though, did an incredible job of not letting them affect their game, and they put on a great show the first week.
Yeah, we have other really good players that have always been in the mix too. Hallie Howard, she's a transfer, been here 2.5 years already, and solid golf game. Definitely one of our top players, and always looking for her to be one of the lowest scorers. And Kylie Ward, another senior, she's from California. She's just so consistent, and to have her in the line, we always know that we're going to get a solid score out of her.
Let's look at the men's side. They had a pretty good weekend. A lot more competition on that side than on the women's side. Not as many ladies teams, but they had a pretty good weekend down at Graceland. You mentioned Joe, the North Star Athletic Association Golfer of the Week for his performance. So great job by him. But you have a young team with some depth. It has to be nice because I'm assuming that there's some serious competition to decide who's going to be the starting 5 each week.
There's no doubt. We do have a lot of depth. You just talk right away. Manny Zoria from the Dominican Republic, solid player. Look for him to do some really special things in the future. Caden McNally, from Texas. He had a pretty consistent weekend, but just in these last couple of weeks, he's making some strides. I think we're looking for him to even shoot some lower scores now coming in. Jared Pfeffer, Kansas City area. Well, I better say Olathe. He might get on me for that. But excellent player. He's been working really hard during the winter time. I think you'll see him shoot some pretty low numbers coming up. And then we can't leave out Samuel Flores from Mexico. He's one of our juniors. He's one of the oldest guys on the team, but he's a solid player. Didn't have his best outing the first tournament, but I would look for him to come back strong real soon.
I know, as a coach, it's got to be frustrating and exciting at the same time having that kind of depth, because you put somebody in who has a great week as an individual or on the second team, and you're like, man, I wish I had him the other line.
Great example, Mitch Anderson from the Twin Cities area. He's worked really hard during this off season as well, and he can definitely be a contributor on the team with the scores that he shoots. Then you have Cody Ailes from Marmaduke, Arkansas. Same thing. He's been working hard, making some changes in his game. To see that type of hard work and dedication, you know it's gonna pay off here very soon. So yeah, we're excited what's happening right now. Like you said, we're very young, but deep, and we'll see who comes out, working as hard as they are working, who's going to contribute the most.
Now, at this point in the season, you've only had one tournament so far in the spring. You've got a couple events coming up, I believe Peru State for the ladies over in Nebraska, and there was just a change, the Wartburg Invitational, scheduled for Friday and Saturday, now a week from Friday and Saturday for the men, and then just a couple of quick events, and then it's championship time. Up in Albert Lea, Waldorf will be hosting the championships, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of that week. Sunday to Monday, Tuesday of that week, is that right? So fans, you got to come up to Albert Lea and cheer on the golfers. But let's talk about, you've got basically 3 weeks until championship, a couple of tournaments. How are you preparing the team, getting them ready for that big one?
With the schedule change, we actually now have another men's event scheduled for Monday, Tuesday at Simpson in Indianola. Cross our fingers, hopefully we can get that one in as well. It's competition. We just need to get some rounds in, get that feel back. There's a difference between just golf and competitive golf, so we want to make sure that we get out in the court, get under the gun, make some putts when it matters, and that will definitely help come the conference tournament.
And I know the grind, the men will play 36 holes the first day, or will it be, for the conference tournament, will be 3 individual days?
Well, first day is practice round, and then 2 18-hole rounds after that, because in the fall we also had 36 holes. So at the end we have 72 holes that we can use to determine a conference champion. So we're only halfway through it, so that's why it's important to get prepared and perform our best at the end of the season.
So how do you guys stack up against the rest of the conference? Is this the championship teams?
I'd say there's a lot of parity right now. It really is going to depend on the day. If everybody can come with their best, we can play with anybody, and that's fun, because when you do have teams that are so closely matched, every stroke counts. Over the course of now the next 36 holes, you can save 1 shot per 9 holes. That really is a big deal, and that'll be 16 strokes over 2 days. So teams can move up and down just by a make or a miss on 1 hole. So it does really matter.
Any individual surprises that we should look for come championship time that could jump in there and suddenly be contending for a title?
That's a difficult one. But all these guys that we've talked about, they can all contribute quite a bit to the end result. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them at the top of the leaderboard toward the end.
You guys have, it's Mason City last week before the championship. You'll also have an event up there, so we should tell people about that one so they can come out and get a chance to see you guys before the championships.
Monday, April 16th, and then we have another one scheduled in the Sioux City area, the 18th and 19th. So, yeah, they're coming up now with some of these postponements and cancellations. Going to be playing a lot of competitive golf, and that's the part, the mental part that will get challenging, but we need to do it, and they need to be prepared. So that's how we're trying to do that as we lead into the conference tournament.
Sorry to the professors, the golf team's going to be out of town for the next 3 weeks. Of course, this professor will probably give them a pass, but it's exciting, and I want to remind fans, get out and get a chance to cheer on your Warrior golfers. A great chance to see some athletes who maybe aren't going to be playing in the gym and getting the cheers, but doing a phenomenal job and are incredibly competitive. Mason City, like we said, and then absolutely you got to come out and cheer on the golfers up in Albert Lee at the championships. Coach, I appreciate you joining us. Good luck on the road. Good luck at the championships, and I hope to see some great scores from you guys.
I hope so too. Thanks very much.